I'm Joe Catalano with an AM Quincy news update for Wednesday, December 18th. A fire behind a block of stores in Quincy Center caused some minor damage early this morning. Fire broke out behind the Petco pet store on Parking Way just before 4 a.m. Quincy firefighters say the fire also caused some smoke damage to the building. The fire may have started in a dumpster or may have been linked to the building's generator. Firefighters cleared the scene before 6 o'clock this morning. No injuries were reported. Firefighters in Hingham are investigating after a two-alarm fire broke out at Ernie's Auto Body on Lincoln Street yesterday afternoon. The Hingham Fire Department responded to a report of a building fire. At around 3 p.m., video showed firefighters on the roof of the building spraying their fire hose at flames emanating from the corner of the roof, with a Hingham Fire Department ladder truck and two tanker trucks surrounding the building. The Hingham Police Department dispatched officers to the scene who closed Lincoln Street and redirected traffic from about 3:30 to 5:45 p.m. It is not clear what caused the fire or if anyone was hurt. Eastern Nazarene College in Quincy is proposing that a total of 32 homes be built on their campus. The college will go before the Quincy Planning Board tonight to outline plans for a subdivision on their Wollaston campus. The proposal calls for a thoroughfare with 23 residential single-family lots, a cul-de-sac roadway with 7 residential single-family lots, and a cul-de-sac roadway with 2 residential multifamily lots. Mayor Thomas Koch says this proposal is separate from the city's plans to create 55 and over housing on that property. Koch says the planning board cannot deny ENC's subdivision proposal if it meets zoning requirements. Koch says that an out-of-state buyer has set its sights on the ENC property. However, nothing has been confirmed by the school. The college is set to close at the end of the year after over 100 years in Quincy. The planning board will meet tonight at 6 at Old City Hall. Low inventory, high interest rates discouraged buyers. These have not been banner times for Massachusetts real estate brokers, but to suddenly close up shop is almost unheard of. That is the reaction to the sudden shutdown this past weekend of Success Real Estate on the South Shore. The firm had been in business for 32 years and recently boasted billions in property sales over the past 5 years. Success owner Steve Webster sent out a note to agents this past weekend indicating the firm was closing. Embezzlement at a real estate company would likely involve funds placed in escrow by buyers and sometimes sellers. These can be deposits on a property or, in the case of sellers, funds to help a buyer pay closing costs and or realtor commissions. So far, no one has been accused of a crime. Webster said he cannot comment on his firm's situation, but if the company's offices are any indication, it is definitely out of business. Both the Braintree and Marshfield locations were dark and deserted on Monday. Success Real Estate has just 2 new listings on its website, one in Brockton, the other in Rockland. Sellers who have not yet signed a deal with a buyer shouldn't have any problem just switching to another firm or another agent, but it's unclear about those who made deposits to Success Real Estate's escrow fund, with every expectation those funds would be safe. Interfaith Social Services of Quincy says their recent annual Feed the Hungry Gala raised $450,000 to support their food pantry and other programs. 300 guests participated in the annual celebration at Granite Links in Quincy. The fundraiser includes samples from multiple South Shore restaurants and breweries, games, and a silent auction. The funds are used to support Interfaith's food pantry, which distributes 143,000 bags of food and personal care items every year. Funds also help support Interfaith's mental health counseling center and other social service programs. Unshaven Quincy police officers raised $5,700 for Cops for Kids with Cancer and $3,100 for the Daughters of Mary of Nazareth in Quincy. The annual No Shave November event is held every year to raise money for charity. Officers are allowed to grow a beard for the month, which is normally against department policy. A Boston, quote, dentist who is accused of practicing without a license faced new charges in court yesterday. 69-year-old Fritz Gabriel of Milton pleaded not guilty to fraud charges, including claims he used a patient's credit card, charging thousands of dollars in unauthorized purchases to the patient. The state's alleging that the defendant instructed and helped an individual open a credit card and then use that credit card without the victim's authorization or consent for charges of more than $6,000, including more than $5,000 charged to the dental practice that the defendant manages. Investigators say Gabriel was the manager of Forest Hills Dental and posed as a licensed dentist, allegedly using another dentist's credentials to write prescriptions for controlled substances like Percocet and hydrocodone. Investigators said the alleged use of the credentials happened without the dentist's knowledge or approval. Under state law, only licensed dentists can write prescriptions to dental patients. Last May, Gabriel was charged with fraudulently billing Mass Health for dental services that were not provided, or that Gabriel performed instead of a licensed dentist. He also was accused of pulling someone's tooth and leaving an exposed root in the patient's mouth. Charges against Gabriel include Medicaid fraud, larceny, unlicensed practice of dentistry, assault and battery, and fraudulent use of a credit card. Frank Bellotti, who served as Attorney General in Massachusetts for more than a decade and ran for governor 3 times, died yesterday morning at the age of 101. His passing was announced in a statement by his family. Throughout his career, Bellotti was a champion of civil rights, consumer protections, gay rights, and environmental safeguards. He ran for governor unsuccessfully in 1964, 1970, and 1989. His first foray into campaigning came in 1958 when he ran unsuccessfully for Norfolk District Attorney. 4 years later, he was elected lieutenant governor, serving alongside Governor Endicott Peabody. The Democrat served as the state's attorney general from 1975 to 1987 and is credited with creating a model for the office for attorneys general across the country. Born in Roxbury, Bellotti grew up in Dorchester, eventually settled in Quincy, graduated from Tufts University and Boston College Law School, also served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. In a statement, Governor Maura Healey called Bellotti a cherished mentor, colleague, and friend, saying that his contributions to the state's law and policy were indelible. The Bellotti family said information about funeral arrangements will be shared soon. A check of business news this morning, and stocks pulled back. The Dow was down 267, the Nasdaq dropped 64, and the S&P fell 23. Stocks were mixed in Asia ahead of the Fed's final rate decision of the year. The euro rose, and oil at $69 a barrel. Sports, the Bruins beat the Flames in Calgary 4-3 in overtime. And they'll be in Edmonton tomorrow night at 9. Forecast from the National Weather Service today, mainly sunny at a high of 48 degrees. For tonight, a spot shower possible, lows in the mid-30s. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine, and then a high of 43. For Friday, some afternoon snow showers, high Friday 34, and then a bitter blast of Arctic air over the weekend. Saturday, daytime highs only around 30, but lows in the teens. For the boater, waves about a foot, a southwest wind 5 to 10 knots, and a high tide at 1:12 this afternoon. Sun rose at 7:07 and sets at 4:13. A traffic note, the Fore River Bridge is scheduled to open today at 1 p.m. and Thursday at 10 a.m. I'm Joe Catalano with an AM Quincy news update for Wednesday, December 18th.